he should sue the UFC.
The bigger story on this, if I'm talking to somebody, is to tell them this is a closer match than you think. Now, I don't know if you find that interesting. I don't know if that's a hook. Well, it's going to be closer than you think. I don't know, but I will tell you, Volk, from the beginning of this fight, including when it was just a hypothetical, DraftKings put him as a 3-1 favorite. He held 3-1 favorite. I brought you the odds over the course of the buildup of this fight. Today, right now, it's 375. Volk is pulling away. And that is to signify something, right? A plus 375 is to signify, at a minimum, dominance. It lends towards the idea of finish, but it would definitely envelop not a close match, not a split decision, not a 3-2, this is a nail biter, I wonder what Bruce Buffer's going to say. Now, Rodriguez is going to have to do and find something early that Volkanovski's not ready to defend. And he's only going to need one thing. This is not a battle of all your skills versus all my skills. He just needs one. He needs one attack that lands, that he can then go back to. Look, there's a belief in fighting. You'll see some guys that get away from it and they don't do it. But you'll see other guys that will do it in the first round, they'll do it for the next 12. I'm bringing boxing just for an example. But the theory is, if I can go out and I can land something on you tonight, then I can do it again and again and again and again, as long as that's tonight. If we rematch and it's 5 months from now, the deal's not necessarily on. I'm gonna have to come out and see it and find it. But the philosophy behind it is, if you're not ready and you don't have an answer now, you're not gonna be ready and have an answer as the day goes on. So, if Rodriguez can find just one thing, he can change the landscape of this match completely. I think that it is very realistic for us to throw out wrestling as being that thing. I think it's very realistic that we would understand if it comes to a wrestling battle that's going to favor Volk, and moreover, it's not going to be Rodriguez's choice, even if he was to get on top. He can't rinse and repeat and get on top all night long, so that's not where it's going to be. And I think if you were to show Volk respect for his stand-up abilities, and you were to reference such fights as Brian Ortega or all those wars with Max Holloway, you would come to a conclusion that Volk is very good and very dangerous on his feet. But if I was to tell you, give me just one example. Give me just one example of one opponent, one round, one time that Yair Rodriguez got outclassed on his feet specifically, I think you have a hard time. I don't think you have a response to that. I do not think there's a time that you can tell, not just a fight. I'll break it down. You show me a round. You show me a round that Rodriguez lost. It was predominantly on his feet because he lost the stand-up. I don't think you have an example. So now we start into a question of, okay, if Volk's going to beat him, we know that Volk's going to beat him, and we even think that Volk's going to dominate him. How? Where is he going to do that? Now you start to get into championship round. Right, there's a separation in athletes. For the athlete that's been in the 5-round club, or who can go rounds 4 and 5. You have a different category for guys that can do this, but Rodriguez has done it a number of times. Rodriguez had to dig deep one time to the point that there was 1 second left on the clock in a 25-minute fight, and he knocked his opponent out. Yes, you heard me say that right. 1 second left in a 25-minute fight, and he knocked his opponent out. So I don't think that there's an example of a fight, or if we were to even break it down to a round or an evening, where you could tell me historically that Yair Rodriguez got out-conditioned in the later rounds. I don't think that you can do it. And I think as we start breaking down, we start being very realistic with each other, we start to be very honest with each other. Not the broad stroke about we love Volk, not the broad stroke about how great Volk is, not the broad stroke that he's the GOAT of 45, not the broad stroke that he should be #1 ranked in the world. Let's break it down to the actual attributes that he's going to need to bring to beat Rodriguez. I think you start having a very different conversation. And nobody has worked harder or been more diligent from a strategic standpoint to make sure that you don't pay attention to Rodriguez than Rodriguez. Nobody has said fewer wonderful things about the skills of Rodriguez than Rodriguez. It's a very interesting position. But the line has moved, and the line has stretched, and people are even more confident. And there was so much made of the physiology change in Volkanovski for Volkanovski going to take on Islam. There was so much made of that. There was meal prep companies that were getting plugs left and right, and there was a nutritionist, and there was Volkanovski sitting there, and he's having to eat all of this food. There was all this stuff done to tell the story of Volkanovski changing his body so he could get up to 155 pounds, but I haven't heard anything done about Volkanovski now needing to put that in reverse and cannibalize his own body to pull it back to 145 pounds, and I do think that it's very relevant. It's possibly helpful. He's possibly having to burn and extend and use so much energy that he's getting in the best shape of his life. I would listen to that for sure. But to act as though it doesn't play a factor at all is a bit of a surprise for me. And what evidence people have seen or what opinions they have come to conclude that Volkanovski should go from a 3-1 favorite to almost a 4-1 favorite also surprises me. I'm open to hear it, but I would love to hear it. I'd love to hear it now. I'd love to hear it before the fight happens. I don't want to hear it, I told you so after the fact. I'm asking you now. Tell me so now. If Volk is going to beat him, and by the way, he's going to do it in very dominant fashion, what does this fight look like? It's a classic ground and pound. Does your outstrike big brother him, clinch him? Dirty box. Go ahead and throw some term at me, whether you know what it means or not. Go ahead and tell me what you think Volk is going to do to dominate Yair to the point that it's appropriate for a 4-1 spread.